T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. Sorry for the late. I had a couple of things to do today, and so we're coming at you a little bit usual. But in doing so, we discovered we got some new documents to go through. Big Blue, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just enjoying a little bit of soda with a little bit of Woodford. Just trying to relax those. My back, man. My back sore as hell from painting today. Painting.
Oh yeah, is it from the painting or is it from carrying the show, my man?
It's from painting, man. It's from painting. I think out of all the construction jobs out there, I hate painting the most. I think.
Really?
I'd rather dig a ditch outside or climb ladders or mix cement, but painting.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't mind the painting. It's for me. I don't like holding sheetrock. I don't like doing drywall.
Yeah. No, that one's not that bad either. But no, this one, like, I was refinishing a bathtub. So, of course, you got to sand prep the whole bathtub. It's like you're washing the bathtub 20 times in a row. And then I had to, like, fit between the toilet and the bathtub, So I'm a big dude. I'm not a small guy. I don't fit in tight corners. So I'm like,
Nah.
my back's all hurting from hunching over the toilet seat and crap. So, yeah, man.
Well, I'm glad you got it done. So it is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
So we gotta. First let's. I gotta go into the commercial stuff first, right? The house cleaning thing. I always forget this stuff. If you guys are interested in protecting your private information, go check out our channel partnership with Data Seal. They're actually doing something that I am a part of and getting on, and that is removing your personal information off the interwebs. Stuff like your phone number, your name, your address. I checked it out the other day and was stunned how much of my information was out there on the interweb. Go look up your address or phone number or your name, and you'll see, how much information is out there. To get all of that taken care of, check out Data Seal. They also will expunge your, voting preference, your religious preference, things like that. Link is in the description. Get a 5% discount. And also, if you enjoy the content, enjoy the show, and want to help us and donate to the show, we have our Cash App and PayPal. Cash App is the Cash App sign, Drunk Turkey Show. PayPal is Drunk Turkey Show. So we'd appreciate it. With that out of the way, let's get into the show. So there was some documents, as I mentioned before, Big Blue, referencing the Idaho 4 case and Bryan Kohberger. The first one we're going to talk about tonight is the defense's motion to remove cameras from the courtroom. First and foremost, this affects so many of us. I don't want this to happen, obviously. There's been some arguments that have gone back and forth that without context, just reading something, if we like a transcript or something, it's not the same as seeing what's going on and getting a firsthand account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think things can be interpreted wrong, is basically what I'm trying to say. And so let's go through this. It's about 7 pages, and there's some interesting stuff in it that I think we'll all get to discuss and get our opinion in.
Yeah, maybe we should do a public opinion and get better mics, because man, those mics suck in there.
Where at? Oh yeah, dude. I thought you were talking about my mic. I was about to say, man, that's some fighting words, bro. What are you talking about?
Talking about the courthouse, man. Or maybe move the camera from the typewriters, next to the typist or whatever they're called, transcription.
Mm. Yeah, 100%. So we'll read this. So it says, comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger, through his attorney of records, and files his this motion to remove cameras from the courtroom for the remainder of the proceedings. In this matter, pursuant to his right to fair trial and effective assistance to counsel guaranteed him by the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution. All right. 1. Camera-wielding courtroom observer failed to obey the court's June 27th directive to cease focusing exclusively on Mr. Kohberger, necessitating the expulsion of cameras from future proceedings. Basically, what he is saying is there was a motion that was put in earlier this year where cameras were, or media was directed not solely focus on Bryan Kohberger and to zoom in on him. Right now,
Yeah.
that order didn't say that the media couldn't focus on Bryan Kohberger at all. It just said that couldn't be the sole or the main footage, right? So
Yeah.
the way I would take it is, if 50% or more of your footage is Bryan Kohberger's face or zoom ins on him, then yeah, 100% that's a violation. But if it's like 30% or 20 or 40, I think that's not the case here. You know what I'm saying? So let's read this. It says, the question presented by this motion is whether Kohberger's face deprivation of his right under the 14th Amendment to due process by the continued television and broadcasting of his trial. So it says, nearly 2 months ago, on June 27th, the court warned press observers not to focus strictly on Kohberger and to show a wide shot of the courtroom if they wish to continue filming in the proceedings. Fox News, Bryan Kohberger judge issues a warning to media at start of hearing on Idaho's student passings. June 27, 2023, available at Bryan Kohberger, judge issue warning, media start of the hearing. And this is the link for said article. Press observers have thus far failed to comply with the court's desire for the continued publication of such images as shown below to continue to this present day. And if this right one might look familiar, as that's the Thumb Night Show. But
look familiar.
I
But
think
they're not.
Yeah.
I could see multiple people in those views, so they're not just him.
That's true. There's a TV screen that could be the main focus that Kohberger's walking in front of, right?
Yeah. And then they were taking a nice video of the security, the sheriff, and Kohberger got in the damn way. I wanted to see what kind of piece he's carrying. So.
Yeah, these are all true facts, right? But seriously, I do think that maybe perhaps the media should relax, right? Maybe not focus in on him. Maybe not at all. Bring it down to about 15% of the time. I think that would be acceptable, because at the end of the day, people are going to want to see, what he's wearing, what he looks like that day, how he's dressed. You know what I'm saying?
And the crazy part about it is, like, because of this case, this guy's photos are already out there. I mean, you saw the photo that somebody posted the other day. It was like his elementary school photos out there, his high school graduation photos out there, and then just photos that can get offline from him being a teacher and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there are tons of photos that are out there circulating about, from him, but, I get it. The mainstream media wants to get the best picture. They want to see something. They don't want to miss anything, right? Perhaps he makes a facial expression during a when they say somebody's name, right? Let's just say they bring up, Maddie Mogen, right? And if he makes like a weird facial expression, every news media is going to want to capture that, right?
Yeah. I mean, but they're not focusing. They couldn't even tell if he was signing with his right or left hand, so they're not focusing 100% on him.
I think
That I've
that
seen.
if you look at these two images here, right, compared to this image, this one is focused in on Bryan Kohberger. But these two, they look a little fuzzy. That happens
Yeah.
when you zoom in on a picture and then crop
Yeah.
it.
And that's what I was gonna say. It don't matter if they're focused in on them. People are gonna crop down to that area
Yeah.
and then just post it.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Bernadette Thomas, for your $2 super sticker. We appreciate you. So, to me, these images definitely look doctored from the original camera footage. Now, how does the observer media that's in the courtroom, how are they responsible for what other news media sources are doing with their footage?
Yeah, they can't. I mean, they can always go after the people, but that's a lot of people, a lot of paperwork, a lot of work for nothing.
Yeah. These photos, a bland violation of the court's directive to cease focusing exclusively on Mr. Kohberger in their own right. See, these aren't exclusively on him. Are also later appended to articles with blatantly sensationalistic and prejudicial headlines. I don't understand why they got to put so much big words in these things and content. The rightmost of the three photos above being used in a August 22nd, 2023 Daily Beast article reports as Kohberger's creepiness with women goes back to high school. I mean, like, yeah, I get it. I mean, I would be upset if I was a defense. I'm going to be fair and honest. I'm, to be 100% honest with you, I'm usually in the middle of these things. If I see that there's some tomfoolery abroad, then yeah, I'm going to question those things. And in this situation, I do think that using his photo in court, indicating or alluding to that he's a creepy guy, right? Because his creepiness goes back to high school, which means it's a current problem for him. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean that's, but it's just his persona. That's what.
But it's also an opinion, because
yeah.
What he thinks is creepiness doesn't necessarily mean that he's creepy at people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he can. Other than a possible SK, he could be a really nice guy.
I mean, I don't know, dude. According to, what was it, like Dateline, they had a little special, and in there they said that he was easily angered, would get upset if he had, was graded unfairly to his standard, right? Although he was able to grade others very difficult, and he wasn't supposed to be questioned when those students didn't agree with their grades. However, if his grade was affected, by a point or whatever, went off the rails apparently, right? When that's what the special said. So,
like I said, they also said we make a ton of money on merch and sold like 4 T-shirts.
yeah.
So, I don't believe.
But we do got some other T-shirts and stuff coming out. We have koozies, y'all. If y'all don't, if y'all are interested, hit us up on email. We have PayPal, we have Cash App. We'll get one sent out to you. Just let us know your shipping information, and we'll put it together. So this is here. The further the cameras continue to exclusive focus on Mr. Kohberger provides fodder for observers and purported analysis on social media who are not bound by notions of journalistic integrity. So I think he's talking about maybe not us directly, but creators like us that are commenting or doing commentary on our opinions of what this case is about, and looking at these court documents and stating that basically that we can say whatever we want, right? And it doesn't have to be factual. We're not bound, by the journalistic integrity or notions of that. What do you think about that?
I think we try to stay within a realm, man. We, at least us. But there are some people out there that, go off the wall, go down every dark tunnel they can just to get a good story out there.
Well, I mean, to each their own. If they're gonna do that, we don't focus in on that. That's not our bad. It's just basically what you're saying. All right, let's continue. Who have potentially an even greater reach than traditional media outlets. The proliferation of these images and videos is plainly observable on social media platforms such as TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, in posts such as these provided below. Now, I don't know who these creators are. I'm assuming they're on TikTok. No, these are on Instagram, right? No, it says repost. That's X, formerly Twitter.
Yeah,
Sorry, y'all. I
Twitter.
don't. Dang it! I hit the wrong button. All right, so Phil Foss, is Bryan Kohberger afraid of heights because his flies?
Ah, man, that was a funny.
I think they redacted whatever was going on. I think I'm gonna go follow that guy. That was funny. Jocelyn says or tweets, "What's he so GD happy about? He's not getting an award. He's getting tried." Photo courtesy of Lewiston. People said he looked spooky. What do you think about those images? Are these images so bad that they have to be taken down? Like, one's a joke and one's a complaint, but speaking facts at the same time. Yeah. He is not getting an award. He is getting. I mean, where is? Do you really think that this is something to get the court to not have cameras there?
I think so. But either way, if they don't have cameras, we're still gonna get stories out of what comes out and what comes out. So it doesn't matter. But I think it would get better ideas of what's going on if there is a camera. So
right, but what the defense is saying is it's tweets like this one or these two that are creating a situation where he's not going to get a fair trial. Do you feel that these tweets that they provided as an example as to why they should not have cameras in the courtroom? I don't think so. I think people making jokes and people stating facts aren't into.
Yeah, I think that they're not that bad compared to what I've seen. I mean, but now I'm just wondering if he's scared of heights.
That's a good one, man. We might use that one more often. Michelle Hicks comes in with a $10 super chat. We appreciate that. About that alibi. So if BK had nothing to do with this, did he just all of a sudden, months after the event, remember that he had gone driving around that night like so many other nights? That's a fair point. That is an actually fair point. Here's the thing. He would have known that he was driving around that night fairly soon. I mean, you get word that the night you're out and about, that there's a quadruple homicide in the town, nearby. I mean, you don't even have to be out and about, but what would your reaction be if this happened in, let's just say, Castroville? And you're muted if you're talking.
Just on I would probably be a little worried, but man, we live in SA. There's like a shooting every other day, bro. Like every other day. Like
All right,
literally,
so
like a block from here, somebody just passed away. Like last week from somebody.
okay, but let's talk about like a rural area. If you were in a rural area like these areas, and town, something horrific that you would have never expect happen in there, you would, that shock you, that would surprise you. I think most people, I think that's how media destroys most people that were living in Pullman and Washington, is shocked,
Yeah.
scared, frightened.
I mean,
right?
we kind of went through this a little bit when we were kids. You remember the case that happened in Del Rio with the two girls? The serial killer broke in through the window.
Oh yeah.
I just can't remember the name of. Trying to remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, for a while everybody was on high alert.
Yeah, no, for sure. But what I'm trying to say is, Tommy Lynn Sells, that's who it was.
Tommy Lynn,
yeah. What I'm trying to say is, you would know after hearing that information, where you were, what was going on, right? That would stick to you. Now his phone comes on 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, about 3 miles south of Moscow, Idaho, about 28 minutes after the crime was committed, right? And we know that he would have had to have driven through Moscow to have gotten there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you be like, man, that was crazy. I drove through there last night.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The question to me was, any sane person that wasn't involved would be like, hey, to the police, would be like, hey, I was driving last night and I drive a white car, so it wasn't me. This is where I was, and you can see where I was. He didn't do that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of the point that I'm getting to. The point that I'm getting to is he was in the area driving around, and once information comes out that they're looking for a vehicle that matches his description of his vehicle, and he knows he was out and about during that time. He was, he's, in, 3 miles south of Moscow on 95. He was probably there at 4:48. He was probably through Moscow at like 4:30, right? And so, hey, what's going on, Jim? And so what I'm trying to say is, don't you think, knowing the laws, being a PhD student in criminology, that he would have came forward?
I would expect him to be like, hey, I was driving around that time, but it wasn't me. And but that's the part where we're gonna say is, guilty people don't like to talk sometimes, but some people do. I mean, look at Richard Allen. He put himself at the park by saying he was there because he thought he was. It'd be better for him to say that he was there because people would have seen his car.
Yeah, but that was him overthinking things. He saw people walking in, the three juveniles. His car was parked there, so he was overthinking it, thought that somebody was going to say that he was there, and that if he didn't come forward and say he was there, that he might look like guilty or whatnot. I don't know if he was aware when he showed up that day, if there was a video taken of him on the little girl's phone, but he went over there and spoke it out. Now, Terra Blue comes in with a $4.99 super chat. She says, in my opinion, the defense wants those 3 other male DNA run in case there are accomplices. That way, Bryan allegedly wouldn't have to rat them out. You know what? There's a couple of things about the DNA. I think that those samples, if you look at the defense's work and you also look at kind of what the defense has done, they have created a lot of something out of a lot of nothing, to be honest with you. And they're doing, and Taylor is a great lawyer. Now, I think that the 3 DNAs, when the prosecutor says that they can't give them what we don't have, I think that's because they don't have those workups. They don't have Bryan Kohberger's workup. The FBI is who created that workup. Now, per the DOJ policy, the FBI can only get involved and use the IgG tree makeup when there's no leads or no suspects at all. So that says 2 things. One, law enforcement had no idea that this was Bryan Kohberger was their main suspect until they got the genealogy test back. And 2, that once that lead was created, that the FBI could no longer get involved. So they could not have built that tree by policy for Moscow. And so they literally don't have it because it wasn't made. It wasn't created, and they don't have access to it. I don't think that is nefarious. I don't think that is, the state being sneaky at all. I just think that that's what they had to work with. What do you think, Big Blue?
Yeah, I don't think that's what they didn't get all the information from the FBI because we've already been told that. So I think the state went off just the name they gave them, and then they matched it to whatever DNA they had already before the FBI. So that's why there's no workup like they're looking for. Now the other 3 DNAs, like the glove outside, that keeps me wondering. Like, okay, it could have been just somebody who walked their dog and picks up their dog poop, and then they just throw their gloves. Because every time I go on the trail, people do that crap. They pick up their dog crap with gloves, and then they end up throwing the gloves on the floor. I don't know why, but people are dumb.
There was a lot of people out in front of that house. Officers, media, first responders, visitors that were leaving memorials, visitors who wanted to see the house. That glove could have been dropped by a number of people. And, the defense assumes that the DNA samples were entered into CODIS because they were male unidentified DNA. And because they knew that they were male, and if they entered it into CODIS, it didn't match to Bryan Kohberger, so they must have been somebody else's, is basically what that statement was. Now, there was a huge ass party the night before.
Yeah.
Right. Now, and the second thing is, we don't know specifically where DNAs were located. We just know that it said in the area of where the bodies were found.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been in a number of places.
Yeah.
There was a party there, the night before, 150 people out there. Is it possible that it was a mixture of DNA? And when you have a mixture of DNA, you can't create a tree because you may get a tree from that mixture from somebody else.
Yeah.
So it is not qualified to have been used as evidence. It's not even qualified in to CODIS. The only thing that they can probably do with that DNA is separate it and see how many types of DNA there are. If there, one source, two source male, one source female, things like that. You get what I'm saying? So there, if that ends in the situation, that it was a mixture of DNA, again, I don't see the prosecution doing things that are nefarious or ill-willed. Thank you, Olivia, for your $4 super sticker. We appreciate that.
Now, somebody said one of the DNA taken off a cigarette butt on site. I believe they did check a cigarette butt.
So the DNA from the cigarette butt was taken from somebody they suspected to compare to probably the knife sheath. And so they put the words there that the DNA or that the cigarette butt was taken secretly from a suspect or a person of interest. Thank you, George. Please do hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we're trying to get past 40K. Trying to get Caro Tilena.
Help us out, y'all. We appreciate it.
So that's proof that I painted today. I still have damn paint on my arm.
No,
I'm just showing my muscles, guys. See, little muscles.
Just giving y'all tickets to the gun show. All right, let's do it. So, as press itself notes in the court's June 27th I don't even know how to pronounce that. Motion. The court referenced the recent Chad Daybell trial when cameras were asked to leave because they focused too much on the defendant. Fox 13 Seattle, Idaho judge reins in the court cameras if Bryan Kohberger's evidence hearing as trial in the student passings looms June 27, 2023. And so there's a link to their article. There is President Chad Daybell Idaho trial, and cameras were asked to leave. I think that is probably the biggest avenue that the defense has to remove the cameras out of the courtroom.
Yeah.
Now I understand now, removing the cameras out of the pre-trial courtroom. What I don't understand is why do they want the cameras out of the regular trial? Now, I'm going to assume, and this is a big assumption, that the jury is going to be, what is that, sequestered word for it? And they're going to be sent to a hotel room and, not allowed to use their phones and the whole 9 yards, right?
Yep.
So I don't think that the camera is going to affect their judgment as jurors, right? Now, if Kohberger is as innocent as the defense is claiming, wouldn't they want cameras in there to be there when they drop the mic?
Yeah, but it's just maybe they're trying to get away from his mannerisms. Maybe
he doesn't have any.
That's what I mean. Like, even when we were watching the other day, like when we were watching the case, he sat there still the whole time. I can't even sit for like a minute in this damn chair without moving back and forth. Like, and I don't know. He hasn't. Maybe that's why, because if they show that he's like has an eerie mannerism, that people are gonna assume that he's guilty right away. But I don't know. That's just questions me why they still want him out. Plus, they want to stop people from making jokes about the flies and his scared of heights.
That was a funny joke. So let's continue. Indeed, such a parallel was drawn in the defense's prior memorandum on cameras during hearings, yet camera-wielding courtroom observers remain undeterred. The chief to our judicial machinery is to ascertain the truth. The use of television, however, cannot be said to contribute materially to this objective. Rather, its use amounts to the interjection of an irrelevant factor into court proceedings. As previously been argued, the circumstances present in Kohberger's case are singular and pose an extraordinary risk to prejudice beyond the event that posed in Estes. Observers continue failure to comply with the court's June 27th directive compounds this problem and results in potential jury pool constant inundation with conclusory accusations and sensationalistic nonsense guised as factual reporting and analysis, whereas in the attendant risk of prejudice was limited to potential jurors watching the television or reading print media. Now the risk follows the potential jury pool wherever they go, viewable on their smartphones and constantly updated by thousands of unchecked sources. Each juror carries them into the jury box these solemn facts and thus increase the chance of prejudice that present in every criminal case. I mean, I get it, but there are certain things you can't control, right? You can't put these people in a bubble, right? Or you can't deprive the people of the United States, news coverage and the right to know what's going on. Yes, the main victims in this case, are those that lost their lives. But there are many that were in both cities of Pullman and Moscow for 7 weeks that were terrified. That deserve answers as well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Good opinion.
It is not only possible, but highly probable that it will have a direct bearing on his vote as guilty or innocent. I don't think so. The images and videos provided above were taken during pre-trial court proceedings, but pose no less danger. To the contrary, they gradually poison the potential jury pool prior to trial even occurring, while knowing the number of jurors able to render a just, unbiased verdict. To the extent that the television shapes a sentiment, it can strip the accused of a fair trial. All right, so it's just a court trial information.
But that is true. A lot of places do that. Canada doesn't. Yeah, I heard of other countries that do the same thing. The same way we get a bunch of stuff blocked when TikTok was owned by the Chinese. They wouldn't let a lot of our stuff get shown over there.
Like, what does that tell you, though? If you're trying to prevent information to coming out. Like, it starts off with, these court hearings, these things get precedent. And then we have a situation like a certain person who had a certain island where we know nothing about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get these type of presidents, and they lead to stuff like that.
I haven't seen any court documents or anything released on that island, right?
Nah, not at all, man.
And as they say, oh, we're protecting the minors, we're protecting the people. Yes, but
nah, dude, they're protecting.
In every other case, they'll have the court hearing. Oh, this person was arrested for this. They won't put the minor's name, but they'll say the person who did it.
Yeah,
and then that hasn't came out either.
Yeah. Oh man, there it goes. Estrella says the FBI are corrupt. I will say that I don't think that the low-level FBI agents that are out there in the field trying to do good work are. I will say that I think that there may be a problem at the top of the FBI. What do you think, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, the low level, they're trying to solve crimes, trying to keep us protected, and then the top level, they try to keep everything under wraps.
Mm-hmm. And for who wants the case removed, this is from the defense. So, as such, far from constituting the undue and over-restricted burden on the press, right of free speech, expulsion of camera use to flout the court's limited directive that Mr. Kohberger not be the sole focus and of images and videos taken in the sole means of limiting what the Estes Court expressly recognized to be a form of mental, if not physical, harassment. He's saying he's being harassed by media.
I don't think that's true because um, the media's just reporting on what's out there. And how can they harass him personally? They haven't even been able to interview him. He hasn't
Well,
spoken
I
to
mean,
one media group.
I assume it's by, being able to zoom in on his and faces. It allows people like the fly situation to occur. maybe
Against
maybe
the
that's the
flag.
harassment. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's continue. The inevitable in what's
like-
that?
Like I would understand maybe like okay, people might be harassing his family and all this stuff, but I haven't heard any of that stuff. I know the sister quit or got fired because of something, but that's all I've heard. I haven't heard nobody else like
Yeah, but
putting.
the sister getting fired has nothing to do with the media,
Yeah.
And in what case was it? Oh, in the Rex Humoring case, they were taking pictures of his wife and his children, and they stopped.
Yeah.
Right?
See, that's more of a harassment. I haven't seen any photos come out of his family yet or anything. I mean, so I don't get the harassment part.
Terry Blue comes on the $4.99 super chat. Where's the article that you're referring to about any more DNA rule? I forgot. Another channel didn't believe me. I need proof. That is in the state's motion. I'd have to find it. Remind me, Blue, when we're done reading this one, before we go into the next segment, that I can pull that area up where it talks about the IgG.
Okay.
I know it was like in June. I know it was in June or July. I have to go back and try to find it, but I'll try to get that to you by the end of the show.
Okay.
All right. The inevitable close-ups of gestures and expressions during an ordeal of his trial might be well transgressed of his personal sensibilities, his dignity, and his ability to concentrate on the proceedings before him. Sometimes the difference between life and death, dispassionately, freely, and with action of wide public surveillance. Now, here's why I started laughing. I read the bottom part of this. A defendant on trial for specific crimes is entitled to his day in court, not stadium or city or nationwide arena. Mr. Kohberger is entitled to defend himself against capital criminal charges without cameras focused on his fly. So they were talking about the fly here recently, Blue. All righty. Observers continue to minute scrutiny of counsel's table is violated the court's May 16th order governing the courthouse and courtroom to conduct distracting defense counsel. I'm not going to go into all this. It basically says that they're not supposed to take any video or still images of the papers, documents, or notes that are located around the counsel's tables or used by counsel. And they have these images as I guess where the media has violated that order. Let's take a look at it. So these are off of YouTube. Apparently, this screen is a violation, and these papers can be seen. That's a violation as well. What are your thoughts on those two images?
Well, I mean, the camera one, maybe the defense attorney should have a screen blocker. I mean, maybe it's something they should apply to them. But also the recordings, maybe that's why when they're taking an hour to release them, they should be editing that out or blurring that out. and that might not violate the recordings. But during the live, I mean, that's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to do like at least maybe a 20-second delay just to be able to try to get all that stuff done before it gets. It's not gonna be live. It's gonna be like instant replay or something. So that way they can get a second to be able to adjust whatever they have to.
Hey man, if the NFL can blur out things before it gets on live TV, so can these guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I
Let's
think it's gonna be if cameras end up being allowed, I think it's gonna be the same format though, Blue, where we're gonna get it an hour or so after trial or this, an hour behind. Yeah, but
yeah.
I'll go.
I say even for that, maybe the court should have like little blockers on the side to be able to block the papers. I mean, maybe because where they have the camera sitting, there's no way that the camera guy can say, "Oh, I gotta move my camera," or maybe they can move it but who knows when she opens her laptop? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think that they have a responsibility, like you said, to get a private screen protector, and
I mean,
or
I had them at work. They were annoyed as shit, man, because if you stand in the wrong angle, you can't even see the computer in front of you. You got to get back to the right angle to be able to see it.
yeah, but I mean that's why you do it. I mean, and the second thing is I don't think it's smart to position, your screen there like that
Yeah.
in an upward direction. I mean, everybody
Knowing,
behind them could see what's going on.
yeah, knowing the camera crews behind you on that side, she could have just opened the computer the other way. But
And what it looks like on that screen are images or camera footage from the courtroom. It looks
yeah,
like it's. Let me see if I can go in any closer. No, that's it. That's the max. But right here, that looks like the courtroom. That looks like the judge.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So this isn't anything pertaining to their case.
yeah.
That's
It's
some
some,
that's some BS in my opinion. And then you use this here. Oh yeah, these papers they're in view. Can't see anything, man.
mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Maybe they put a little 6-inch blocker there, and maybe move the cameras to the front where they can see like the whole courtroom. That'd be better, like other cases. But
If they
yeah,
had a feed, into the courtroom cameras,
yeah,
and utilize maybe just the judges, and then that one where it was showing both the defense and the
everybody,
prosecution and also everybody behind them. I think that would be you wouldn't see anything on their desk at all.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
All right, let's continue this. Conclusion: the press failed to obey the court's directive not to exclusively photograph or record Mr. Kohberger, to the exclusion of all else jeopardizing his ability to undergo fair judicial proceedings free of undue prejudice and juror basis, such as cameras must be expelled from the courtroom for the duration of Mr. Kohberger's case, including pre-trial hearings as well as the trial itself, which I think is an issue. Like I said, I mean, what are you trying to hide? You don't want the court, the jury's probably going to get sequestered. They're not going to have access to, anything that's going on out there, referencing the case. And we can also expect, I would assume that if there was a mic drop situation, and Bryan Kohberger would want that up there for, the world to see, like, hey, here's my, top secret evidence that I've been withholding that proves I'm innocent. Put it on the, on the courtroom floor and move forward. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's there.
yeah.
You know,
Definitely, yeah. And maybe I don't know. Maybe it's something where um, it's a strategy they're working on. Hey, my lawyer wasn't the best. She leaked all his information because she's showing everything on the cameras. I want a mistrial, a retrial. It could be one of his theories that he's working on, man.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So before we get into the next piece of document, I want to remind everybody about here it is. And a raffle going on in about 3 days. You have 3 days still to enter into the raffle. We're giving away or raffling off this 4x3 handmade quilt made by my mother-in-law. It's a benefit of my Frenchie that has IVDD. Basically, he lost his ability to move his rear legs. We had surgery a little over a year ago, and he's about 80%. He's getting back, but we're still doing physical therapy and things of that nature. So, to help pay for those continual, physical therapy, we're raffling this off. Raffle entry is $5 per entry. You can do that at either, on our Cash App or PayPal. If you do enter into the contest, please put your shipping information in the description of that information. We appreciate it. Thank you, Heather. Right here. We appreciate that. All right, let's continue this, Boo. All right, so this is a motion to extend time to respond to defendant's motion to dismiss indictment and to continue the hearing. So there was a scheduled September 1st hearing referencing, an indictment to dismiss the indictment. It comes now the state of Idaho by and through the Latell County prosecuting attorney and respectfully moves this court for an order extending the time for the state to respond to the defendant's August 23rd, 2023 motion to dismiss indictment on grounds of biased grand jury, inadmissible evidence, lack of sufficient evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct in withholding exculpatory evidence. Now, a lot of things have been under seal, right? And we haven't seen a lot of the evidence, that's concrete about this case. And they've thrown out exculpatory evidence a lot. And I think that's a tactic to create reasonable doubt because they know that when they enter what they think is exculpatory evidence, that it is sealed. We're not going to see it. Yeah. And so I don't understand, I think it's a tactic. I don't know if there's actually any exculpatory evidence. I think they're just trying to say that he didn't do it, so there must be, and you're not turning it over. Yeah. The defendant's motion was filed on the afternoon of August. Well, I already got that. All right. And was accompanied by a memo in support of comprised of approximately 109 pages, 49 pages of which was made up of the defendant's arguments and the balance made up of various exhibits, which included affidavits and other materials. Among other things, the defendant's motion asserted detailed factual and evidentiary issues that will require not only review of submission of the entire grand jury transcript, so that the court is able to assess the defendant's claims in its context, as well as what appears to be a complex scientific representations in dispute. In light of the above, the state is unable to properly research and respond to the defendant's motion by August 30th, nor be prepared for a substantive hearing on September 1st. The state therefore respectfully prays that the court extend the time for responding to the defendant's August 23rd motion to Wednesday, 14th, 2023, and with a reply from the defense due September 20th, 2023. The state further prays that the court vacate the hearing currently scheduled for Friday, September 1st, 2023, and reset the same for September 22nd, 2023. It concurs with the defense's request that their grand jury motions be heard at the same time. Consequently, the state prays that the hearing on the defense's prior motion to dismiss the indictment based on burden of proof also be continued and set concurrently with the hearing on the defendant's August 23rd, 2023 motion. So, court dates are already getting moved back. Bryan Kohberger waived his right for a speedy trial. Now, I think it could be a while before we see a court, an actual court trial. What do you think, Big Blue?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but most places, like I said, I've seen go 2 or 3 years before they even get an actual trial. They do all these, like the evidence trials in the middle, and then they have the actual trial, and it takes a couple of years sometimes. Hopefully it doesn't, but
well, I mean, this is the I do think there should be some sort of cap, because let's just say, let's take Bryan Kohberger in this case out of it. But if you had somebody who was, legitimately possibly innocent of a crime, and he can't build his defense properly because a defense doesn't have the same amount of time, with the information and the evidence as the prosecution and law enforcement. Those guys have the information as soon as, the crime happens. They're gathering witness statements. They're in real time when it comes to the end, right? The defense is usually a few months behind them. And in this case, 7 weeks. Now, man, where was I going with that, Blue? You're muted.
I think you were going with the about the case being pushed back, that things get forgotten.
Got you. Yeah. I remember now. Thank you. So the defense, they have the right of the speedy trial. And if they waive that right, the prosecution can push this back and forth. And that could lead to a person behind for several years. And if he ends up being acquitted or found innocent, and those are years you can't get back. Angel D comes in with a $2 super chat. Defense tactics are disrespectful to victims, in my opinion. I mean, I agree. They can seem that way, but everybody has a right to a fair counsel and, fair defense. All right, let's that was pretty much it. So what are your thoughts, Big Blue?
I think, when it comes to the cameras, I think they should still be in the courtroom. Every other case I've seen that has had them there has, not just because I'm interested in this case or we're invested in this case. I just think it brings more highlight to the public of what happens in our daily life. And I think it's just another way of the government trying to censor us if they do start doing, no cameras in courtrooms and stuff like that, because they do censor us a lot. Trust me, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here's the this is in the, let me highlight this real quick. So if anybody wants to know about creating a tree from multiple people from the FBI, I found it on the first try, man. On the reply in support of motion for protective order. It is on July 14, 2023. And I believe it's on page 7, where it states at the bottom, moreover, as DOJ policy on IGG, the FBI can only use IGG after the investigating agency has pursued reasonable investigative leads to solve the case and the perpetrator's identity remains unknown. So basically what they're saying is the only time that the FBI can get involved and do the IgG is when law enforcement have exhausted all possible avenues to locate a suspect, right? So if the FBI creates a lead, that means the FBI can no longer get involved. Now, if that lead is exhausted and there's nothing to it, let's just say, we'll take this case for example. They have Bryan Kohberger's DNA on something. Or you know what? Let's say one of the other DNA samples, let's just say it's not a mixture, and let's say it's an actual DNA sample, one that can create a tree for, right? So let's say they went with that one first. The FBI comes up with a name, investigate this person. That DNA was to that person. Now, police go out there. They start looking into said person, and he doesn't have a car that matches the vehicle that was seen that night. His phone was on, and his phone shows that he was in Coeur d'Alene the night of the incident, but the night before he was at that house, right? So we can assume, based on his phone and his activity and his GPS, being an hour north, and him being there the night before that, it's probably not related to the crime. So at that point, there's no lead anymore. Now the FBI can get him again. All right.
Yeah.
Now, my assumption is that they went for the DNA on the sheath because, that's the item that's brought into the house that law enforcement knows for a fact doesn't belong in that house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're going to go and test that DNA first. Plus, it's on a knife sheath, to a crime that was committed for or with a knife. All right. So, you got to start matching some dots, right? And, it's just unfortunate, for those, Tara, that were, questioning you, they probably either didn't read all the way through the documents here or didn't comprehend it, which it's not their fault if they have no experience in law or criminal law or law enforcement and things of that nature. But I don't know, maybe I don't know. That's not for me to answer. But again, moreover, as the Department of Justice policy on the IgG explains, the FBI can only use the IgG after investigating agencies has pursued reasonable investigative leads to solve the case and the perpetrator identity remains unknown. Well, once you have an identity there,
And they're out.
They're out until that lead is exhausted. And so even if they did create one, they're not going to say that they have it, the FBI, because that would be not towards their policy, right?
No.
And so, yeah, this is like I said, it's in there. It's not direct. You got to read between the lines sometimes, but it's in there. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Like if you had DNA, right, law enforcement, and you had a suspect, wouldn't you just secretly get trashed like they did with, whoever they took the cigarette butt from?
Yeah.
And try to match it? Why build a tree if you have a suspect? It makes no sense to do that. You only build a tree if you have no idea who this person is.
Yeah, and I think they're just trying to, the defense is just trying to cause a little bit of confusion to the public. That way they can say, hey, there's other stuff that was found there that could be somebody else's.
Right.
And they could be involved. And I mean, he's not guilty yet. He's still innocent until proven guilty. So we'll find out. Hopefully, maybe in a year. I don't know. They keep pushing the court date back, and it's going to be a while. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, the very first one got pushed back, and others were canceled, and they don't even have a date in mind yet.
Yeah.
So, but, according to the defense and the prosecution, they want to get a date later on when they feel that they can stick to that date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a long pause for you.
Yeah, no, I was reading this one.
Yeah. I snuck into big up Drunk Turkey Show and for Dan J. I know zilch about the Steelers. Well, pay attention to State of the Steelers. I'm on that show. I do live commentary. I talk about the games, post game shows, things like that on the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're interested, go check them out. It's a State of the Steelers. Which document is this? This is the reply in support of motion for protective order. It's a 19-page document that was released on July 14, 2023. And it is pretty extensive. And it kind of talks about, like right here, let me zoom in on this. It talks about the STR profile and the SNP profile. So this is your tree, right? You have this branch over here where the Idaho lab created an STR profile, the DNA on the sheath. On this branch, you have the SNP profile that was created by a private lab that was later taken over by the FBI. Now, what I understand of the law is when it comes to the fruit of the poisonous tree is if something happens along the branch, everything on that branch is no longer usable, right? That was discovered after said, I don't want to say corruption, said mishandling, mishap, whatever the case may be, chain of custody. So if on this branch where they created the SNP profile, created the genealogical research for the tree, and then came up with the name, if something happened here that was, mishandled, contaminated, chain of custody issue, the most that the defense can do is throw this out. But the prosecution isn't even using this. They're using the STR profile to the DNA from a buccal swab to match to Bryan Kohberger. So the whole argument is minute. It's non-important. As far as, this, that, and a third. Now, what I think the defense is trying to do is it's just my speculation, but I think they're trying to politicize this and make this about rights and things of that nature, and the FBI are corrupt, and trying to pull at the political heartstrings of what is in typical Idaho. What do you think, Blue?
Yeah. What was the question again? I was reading the comments and putting them up there, so I was trying to.
We got mods.
Yeah, I know, but
what I was saying was, I think that the defense is kind of politicizing this to a certain extent, kind of trying to point at, the FBI being corrupt, pull at the heartstrings of conservatives in the area that, with what's going on right now politically, right? Like the FBI has somewhat lost, some distrust, and I think they're trying to turn this in. If you're for the prosecution, you're for the FBI, and for the FBI doing these type of corrupt things that they're accused of doing, not just here but across everywhere, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
feeling that I'm getting, and because this argument here makes no sense.
Yeah.
Now, I did say unless. Oh, go ahead, Blue.
I said it's a little crazy how I think that he thinks that they're picking on him. So it's nonsense. I think to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Fruit of the poisonous tree. And that's what this is, what I'm referencing. But when it comes to the fruit of the poisonous tree, it only references the branch that tree is from. Yeah. Blue definitely does. But needs to pay attention. You're going to get detention. I love that. So, like, for instance, if you had, like let's look at another situation that I think that the defense does have, maybe a leg in the game for, and that is the strength of the warrant for his locations from his cell phone. I have said this from the get go. I do not think that him being a criminology student, him conducting a survey for his thesis, where he was a criminologist and a psychologist, or criminology major and a psychology major. I'm sorry. I don't think that survey. I feel like that could be one found with somebody going and attending, a university that he was attending and in the field of study that he was in. And I don't think that those things are reason to violate this man's constitutional rights and go search up where he was at that night. Now, let's just say that Ann Taylor goes and does that. Now, everything that was found out of that warrant, if it comes back to be not enough, right? Everything that was found in that warrant or that search is no good. So we wouldn't know in court, or the jury wouldn't know in court, that Kohberger's phone was off before the murders and then on afterwards. We wouldn't know in court the locations of where he went after the fact. We wouldn't know in court of the 12 occasions where he was in the area. And so all that would be thrown out, and that'd be huge. And that would be horrible against this, against this case. And I think that would leave you with only the touch DNA being, used in this crime. And that's not enough, in my opinion. So, like I've said for a long time, there's a lot of hurdles in this case. This is going to be a tough case, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big case for that defense to try to convince everybody that he didn't do it. Still,
Well, they only have to convince one person that that there's reasonable doubt. It doesn't necessarily mean that person thinks he didn't do it or she didn't think he didn't do it. Right? That just necessarily means that they think that there's not enough evidence to put this person, to the firing squad. And so, but my thoughts on the case though are that there are hurdles for the prosecution. And I feel strongly that if Kohberger ends up, being acquitted or there's a hung jury or whatever, mistrial, and that is because the prosecution didn't do the warrant right for the phone pings. And maybe they were a little bit too overconfident. Do you think that they're going to keep the house up, or do you think they're going to go ahead and demolish it now?
yeah, I think they hopefully they keep it up, but I think they're going to demolish it. I think they were only giving it so much time because of the cost that they're saying that's accumulating from keeping security there all the time. So hopefully, they can keep it up to the case. But like I said, these things get pushed back so far. Sometimes I think they just might do it. But hopefully they might be able to get a team in there and maybe do some videos like of somebody talking normal from the third floor, see if we can hear it from the second floor, or somebody maybe yelling. Maybe they can take a dog in there, have it bark, and you're on the second floor. At least for the jury to have something to hear, to get an idea of, you know, Dylan's story matches, or if, you know, somebody else would have heard something on the street.
It's 4:00 in the morning. I don't know.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah, it's quiet, but I don't know if many people are going to be awake and aware enough to hear it through their house outside of the house. You know, I do think that there's a good possibility that there was, you know, some noise, you know, inside the house that was heard by the surviving roommates. I speculate that to be true. I do think that they texted each other, you know, at one point that night after the incident. And I speculate that if they messaged each other about some of the things that they heard, how likely or unlikely do you think be that they would message other people outside of the house about what they heard? And that could be one of the reasons why some rumors started to spread early on.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to look up a name so I can tell you the story that something real quick. I was trying to do both at once. I wasn't listening. I think I
Pay
need to get
attention,
in the
Blue.
corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take your phone away from you, Blue. You're gonna be I'm gonna have to treat you like these media folks that are not paying attention to the rules.
I'm working on it. I was trying to think of a story, you know, for the end, you know.
Dude, we don't need no dang sad story. That's the problem, Blue. You look the saddest stories up. That's the problem, Blue. But you know, I don't even remember the question. That'll be for next time. You know, this is a case that I think is going to be a while. I think there's going to be a lot of motions that are coming in between there, but I think it's going to be a while before trial hits.
I think so too. I think the way they're pushing everything back, I would say 1 or 2 years. Hopefully not, but that's just the way most cases go.
I hope it's in the in the spring or in the summer. Because if it is, me and you, Blue, and Hyman, maybe, I don't know if he's going to be able to go on Wednesdays. But we're going to go to Idaho. We're going to go attend that court hearing. So you guys make sure you like and subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you get all of our content. Oh, I want to thank Canadian True Crime Buff for gifting 5 Drunk Turkey Show memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so does Big Blue.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Also, this weekend, I finally got everything done for all the information that we're going into a show that we're going to talk about everything. We want to do the who, what, when, where, and why in this case. Our theory on it, of course. And just to give you an idea of how much information it is, this is what we've been working on. And so you want to stay tuned. It's going to be airing out. I'm going to probably record it tomorrow and air it out maybe tomorrow night or Sunday morning. It just kind of depends if YouTube demonetizes us for a little bit and then or limits us, and then, you know, which will limit the views and everything else. So then we have to wait until their review is over. And so once that happens, we'll release it. But yeah, make sure you guys hit that notification bell, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hold on. Big Blue, do you have any non-sad final words for everybody?
I had a sad story lined up. Okay. No, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's on here. Thank you for the mods. Y'all take care, guys. Y'all be careful out there. It's not that hot today. It's only 91, but hey, it's still in the 90s.
It sure is. It sure is. Daniel, I read somewhere that the ladder and ledge may have been a way out since Christy and said Ethan was blocking. That's a possibility. I think we think that the ladder was used in efforts to look into or attempt to look into the bedroom. You know, if a somebody was blocking, I think that that's a possibility that maybe perhaps somebody ran outside, jumped up there, tried to get into the window, ran back in, and was able to open the door. You know, so I think that seems a little logical in my opinion, but it definitely could have been a way out. There is the only thing about that is I think that if he would have had to have put the ladder up before entering the house, right? And I'm not sure if that was the plan, but I do think that there was a thud, and I think that thud may have had to do with why that door was blocking.
Yeah.
But I want to say thank you to our mods, thank you to our members, thank you to all of our subscribers and those that are just watching. If you've made it this far and you're not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting on? We'll see you in a few days. We'll put out that episode this weekend, and then on Monday, we're going to be raffling off the quilt. So still got time to enter. You still got time to go ahead.
Try to throw some stickers in there for them.
Oh yeah, we throw in a little bit of extra stuff all the time. You know, when somebody wins something on our show, like we do member only lives like twice a month, and one of the, you know, on one time a month we do giveaways where we give away beanies, hats, stickers, koozies here recently. So we do that one time a month, and with the winners, we usually get some extra stuff, some stickers and extra things. So we take care of our members, yeah, because they take care of us, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So,
thank you.
So with that being said,
now for the sad story.
Go ahead, bud.
I just want to say our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Maria Gonzalez. You know, that's a poor Pasadena girl that passed away by one of the neighbors. So sad story. I'll look it up. We don't do kid stories, but it is a sad one.
That one is, man. That one definitely is. We'll see you guys next time. Have a safe weekend, y'all. Peace.